I am Holly and I am 30 years old, and I have a 10-year-old son, Matthew. My husband is named Nathan, and we've been together for 12 years. I love my little family. We've got a house by a lake next to a thriving town. My husband and I both have successful careers, and our son is smart and doing well in most things at school. That being said, Matthew is also autistic. This means that his needs are different to the needs of others his age, and we have to spend every day learning new things about how to live our lives in a way that helps him. I thought myself and my husband were a team. We were supposed to be working together to ensure we could give Matthew the best start in life. Apparently, Nathan had other plans. We were at home together on a Saturday morning. Matthew was playing with his train set in the living room, while me and Nathan were on the sofa, reading. We were the picture of domesticity. Unfortunately, my job as a nurse doesn't always give me the opportunity to relax, even on Saturdays. And when there's a real emergency, I have to go in. I'm sorry, guys. Work calling.
I don't know why you bother. You don't make that much money anyway. You might as well just quit your job.
You're really going to start that again? Now? Just as I'm about to leave?
Just quit. Then you can stay here.
I will not. I love my job, even if it doesn't pay the most in the world. Leave it alone, okay? I'll see you tonight. Remember, it's Saturday, so he goes to bed at 9:30, and dinner is mashed potatoes and sausages.
I know how to look after my own son.
I shrugged, and I had to fight against the urge to shout at him. However, he had, in the past, forgotten the schedule, and Matthew had a hard time when things didn't follow the schedule. That is, after all, the reason we had them in the first place, to give Matthew the structure he needed, but Nathan had a habit of forgetting. My work at the hospital kept me fairly busy. I had many tasks that needed doing, such as admin work, attending to the patients, assisting with cleanups, and I had to talk to the families. A nurse's work is never finished, and so when I was called in to attend to a car accident, I didn't think anything of it. I walked behind the curtain, and immediately my coworker, Anna, was pushing me back.
You shouldn't be here for this.
For what? 1,000 possibilities went through my mind, and all of them involved my son. Perhaps my husband had fallen asleep on the sofa and forgot to start dinner at the right time. That would send Matthew into a panic. He might have gotten hurt playing outside or been bitten by the dog across the street that Matthew never learned to pet nicely. Maybe he fell down the stairs or swallowed something he shouldn't have.
It's Nathan. He was in a car accident.
Nathan? That didn't make any sense. What about Matthew? And where is Matthew?
He wasn't on the scene. Call your neighbors.
I did that. Matthew had to be my first priority, even while my heart was beating ferociously in fear for my husband. My neighbor picked up and assured me that while confused and a little upset, Matthew was okay. Will you stay with him? There's been an accident, and I need to be at the hospital with Nathan. She said yes, and then I rushed back over to Nathan's bed. It was a mess. He was unconscious, and they were prepping him for surgery. I still had no idea what was happening. Why would he have left our son home alone? Was he driving somewhere? I stayed at his bedside until he went through to the operation room, and then my coworker Anna returned. What happened? He left our son home alone. That's so unlike him. He knows he can't do that. So where was he this entire time?
Holly, he wasn't found alone. He was found with Matthew's science teacher, and the police footage shows them kissing, and that is what led to the accident.
I sat down in a chair and put my face in my hands. I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to connect the dots, but it was plainly obvious what they were indicating, and the picture left behind was not something I want to see. He was cheating on me?
I think so. I'm so sorry.
I can't believe it. There were no clues. I never would have guessed. Why would he cheat on me?
I don't know, but I do know that whatever the reason may be, it will not be your fault.
But what if...
No. Don't even start trying to find excuses for him. There's no good reason for him to do this to you.
But her reassurances didn't matter. All I could think about was whether he'd survive, and when he did, what reason he would give for wanting to be with someone else. He's always complained about my financial contribution. We both loved our careers, but he felt that he made more money, so I wouldn't have to work at all. We talked about it, though. He knew that I didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom. He wanted the 1950s housewife, and I wanted to be a hard-working woman. Was that the problem? But the science teacher has a job too, so it can't be that. Did I not appeal to him anymore? I've worked hard to keep my hair full and my skin clear. I exercise as regularly as I can. I eat well, I try, and it's not just for him, but I thought he might appreciate it. Not that I could ever complain that he was doing almost nothing to maintain his appearance. And what about the teacher? Why would she do this to me? She knew I was married. She teaches my son. Does she just not care?
What are you going to do?
Wait, I need to talk to him first. I have to find out why. And then I'll figure out what I want to do. I had no idea what the best way to deal with this was. On the one hand, my husband betrayed me. On the other, he was fighting for his life. He might die. How can I hate him and worry for him at the same time?
Maybe you should call your mom.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll do that now. My mom is a lawyer and a great listener. She would know exactly what to do. So I called her up. Mom, something big has happened. I explained to my mom everything that had happened. She was angry, of course, and worried too. No matter how badly Nathan had messed up, he was still in the hospital, and we still didn't know if he was going to pull through. My stomach was in knots.
Okay, honey, listen to me. No matter what happens, you're allowed to be angry. He betrayed you and your son. You deserved better, and so did Matthew. If he comes out of this, then you deserve answers. And then you leave him. You cannot trust him. He did more than maybe just go with another woman. He also left your son, who has a neurological disorder, home alone. You will be immediately granted full custody, and you will not have trouble winning the divorce case.
I didn't even want to think about divorce, but my mom was right. He'd put our marriage in the bin and put our son at risk. I hated him for it.
Call me when you get an answers.
I hung up the phone and then sat down. While I waited, Anna brought me a coffee and sat with me as the hours passed. It felt like the hospital kept moving around us while I was frozen in time. 11 hours later, a doctor came out of the operating room.
Holly, I heard this was your husband.
How is he?
He's alive, which is more than I could say about the woman that was driving the car he was in. I think she was a teacher, but we think he might be paralyzed. We won't know until he's woken up. I know this is scary, but we'll have a consultant talk with you about what you can do.
Thank you. The doctor left, and minutes later, my husband was wheeled out and placed into a recovery room where I was allowed to join him. I stared at my husband. His face was bruised, and his right arm was in a cast. He looked pathetic in that bed, but I felt my anger rising and falling in confusing waves. After waiting there for a few more hours, he finally woke up and was groggy.
Hey, what happened? Where am I?
You're in the hospital where I work. You were in a car accident, and there is a chance that you will be permanently paralyzed. I could see fear flash in his eyes as he heard what I said and processed the information. But then it was replaced with very smug expression.
Well, I guess that means that you'll have to quit your job so you can take care of me.
You can't be serious? You know that you weren't alone in that car, right? How long has this been going on, and what possessed you to leave our son home alone so you could go and cheat on me? Panic again flashed across his face as he truly began to realize the situation that he was in.
Wait. I can explain. We're just friends.
You were seen kissing her. Listen, I don't want to hear half-baked lies and excuses. Honestly, if you had come clean, then maybe I would have been able to forgive you, but it's clear that you have no interest in being married to me anymore.
It's not that. It's Matthew. People talk about us being the parents of someone with autism and how he doesn't act right. I couldn't stand their comments anymore, and I needed someone to talk with about it.
Is that why you cheated? It bothered you that much what other people said? Well, it goes without saying that once you are well enough to leave here that you shouldn't bother coming home. You are no longer welcome there.
Oh, is that how it's going to be? Well, that's fine. I'll just move in with Sarah, the math teacher.
No, you can't do that because she's dead, Nathan, and I've heard all I need to. Without saying another word, I stormed out of the room and called my mother again. A few days later, she came and spoke to Nathan in his recovery room and told him that he would need to give me 15% of his paycheck as alimony, and he would need to give up his rights to the house we lived in as well. He just laughed at her and told her that he would see her in court. Strangely enough, though, her offer was her being nice, and she had only offered it because he was paralyzed. But she did as he told her, and she brought him to court. As soon as the judge heard how he had been injured, and the reasons behind why as well, he awarded me full custody of Matthew and forced him to give me 20% of his check as alimony and an additional 20% for child support, since Matthew needed a stable living situation and I had sole custody of him. The judge granted me sole ownership of the house as well. I did feel a bit bad about Nathan losing everything, but it quickly faded as I realized that he had thrown it all away and that there was no one to blame for his situation than himself. It's been a couple of years since that happened, and I'm happy to say that Matthew has never been doing better. The money that I receive from Nathan allows me to hire Matthew a personal support worker, and they have made a world of difference for him. He is happier and doing better in school than he has ever done before. As for me, I met someone new. He unfortunately is also divorced, and his ex-wife was almost as vile as Nathan. Together, we have both healed from our wounds and are growing stronger together, and his daughter and Matthew get along perfectly. I don't see Nathan too often, but when I do, he always seems quite miserable and does nothing but complain. He still has the same job, but he never has anything good to say about the one-bedroom apartment he is forced to live in or how no one will date him because he is mean-spirited and terrible person. Thanks for watching.